Hey guys, I'm Mike from RattyFab. Today we're going to talk about a Harley alignment. What is it? What does it do? How can you do it yourself? And what is it correct? An alignment on my Harley? What do you mean? It's only got two wheels. Yeah, and it also needs an alignment. These things need to be aligned front to back, top to bottom, just like a car does, just like a truck does, anything else, right? There's a lot of moving components and a lot of stuff that moves around or has to be in a specific place due to being rubber mounted. This doesn't apply to soft tails. This is primarily touring bikes, Dynas, FXRs, FLs, most all those bikes. Sportsters have a link. Unfortunately, we do not make one. So like I said, the link, what is that, right? That's like our adjustable link. Let's take a look here. And you can see an adjustable link there. That is our old link. First things first, what is an alignment on a Harley? What do you mean an alignment? I mean aligning all of your components front to back. So that means your front, all of your suspension and steering items. That means your engine and drive line, and also your rear wheel and suspension as well, right? And there's a lot of components that play in that. This is pretty specific to rubber mounted engines, newer touring bikes, most all touring bikes actually, FL, FLH models, Dynas, FXRs. Softtails don't apply, they're rigid mounted to the frame. So what is an alignment, right? Well, that involves aligning all of your components front to back, top to bottom, left to right. This starts at your forks and then moves on to your engine, transmission, swing arm. Since they are all attached and basically one component, you will align those together. And then you'd end off with your rear wheel, aligning that, making sure your drive line front to back is straight. So let's get into a little about what is so important about it and why you need to be doing it. An alignment is really critical on these bikes. It really makes sure that all your components are happy and working together, and that your bike is going down the road straight with no out of place oscillations or movements, without stuff moving where it shouldn't be, with everything lining up and just being copacetic and happy, right? That's the whole thing here. Especially being on two wheels, it's different than a vehicle where an alignment might just cause a little pull. This can cause vibrations, it can cause wobbles, it can cause very poor riding characteristics, but especially handling characteristics, right? That's the biggest thing on these bikes. Well, okay, you keep talking about it, but how do you do it, right? So here's how we're going to do this. We're going to run down the entire process front to back, and then I'm going to also try to take some good videos and do a little talking over it to show you better how the process is done, and really try to give you as much information as I can, because I feel this is very important to every Harley rider out there. Every shop should be doing this service as part of their services or maintenance, and especially performance builds. If you're adding big motors and changing tons of parts and changing suspension and brakes and everything else front to back, this should be the very first thing you do when putting the bike back together. The very first. Proper alignment starts at the front of a bike, right? You're going to start at your fork length in your triple trees. So with that, what you would normally do is you are going to ensure that your axle can slide in and out and rotate with ease, right? You should be straight across without anything there, without having to push up or pull down on anything. The way to do that, or if you don't have this, is to measure from a specific point. On OEM trees, I highly recommend the bolt holes for the cowbells, because they are machined in to be at specific locations. A machine mark may not be identical left to right, so it's not a good location to use. And what you're going to do is you would measure from the center of this hole to the center of this hole, and same on your opposite side. The best way to do this is to lock in one fork at a location and then adjust the other so that it equals that in exact length, and then you should get this exact bit right here. Now that's it for the front. That's very basic, right? You're not adjusting left and right. You're not doing any of that. You don't have multiple wheels up front, so there's no need to do that. Now, if you're torn down like I am at this point, it'd probably be a good time to check your neck bearings and do all that. I'm getting rid of this current suspension setup in triple trees, so don't worry about anything up here. That's the front. It's really pretty simple. Most of the time it's really good. You're probably not going to find it very far off, if at all, and if you do, it should be a small adjustment. You're probably not going to find that very far off, so start there. That is the very first thing you do, and then work your way back. Now let's get into the engine. Now, to measure the rear, especially on a touring bike, which seems to be the most prevalent to have some of these issues, you are going to adjust this entire unit, right? Engine, transmission, swing arm, all at once. You are going to do that with an adjustable link, just like the ones that we sell. You're going to do that with an adjustable link, and that is what will allow or force your engine and drivetrain to pivot on your vertical axis, right? Inside of your rubber mounts, front and rear, right? Because everything is attached. So you cannot do this on an OEM application. The OEM part is solid. Harley actually did away with an adjustable link and this entire service procedure in 09 when they went to a solid link. We know OEM really only cares about production numbers and costs, so it was really kind of probably a cost-cutting measure for them. Understandably so. Can't really be mad at them for that. They can't make everything perfect, right? So with that, these adjustments have to be done, as well as measurements, with no suspension on the rear. You have to take this off. It's just what it is. So we're going to get this rear suspension off, get my rear tire and wheel off, and get going on this end of it and show you exactly what needs to be done. To elaborate on that a little bit, if you've ever put on an aftermarket set of shocks and had to jack up one side or pry it around a little bit to get a bolt in, your alignment's off, and you should have fixed that before ever putting those on. The adjusters on all these shocks are for your preload, not for height. Remember that. Alright, so now what you're going to do, right, with everything disassembled, now you do not need to have your wheel off. I'm taking it out. I have a lot of other work to do, but I want to show how this is done. So the way to do this would be to measure from, this would be your OEM shock mounting point. I have extensions on. Doesn't matter for me. I will be using the OEM point as a measure reference. So you'll measure from the center of this hole to the center of your shock mounting hole. These points should be identical length, regardless of how your swing arm is sitting or your bike is sitting. Without suspension, that should be equal length, so long as your bushings and bearings and everything else are good. Now, while you're doing this alignment procedure, especially if you have your bike torn down this far, I highly recommend checking over everything. Check your isolators, check your bushings, check your bearings, check every piece front to back to make sure that you don't have any worn parts that need to be replaced or pieces that are absolutely seized up or broken. It's always good to do a hands-on check. You might as well do a bolt check while you're at it because, again, why not? You're there, do it. So we're going to measure this up side to side, compare our lengths, and see what we have to do. Now, if you do not have an adjustable stabilizer link, you will not be able to actually align this part. You will need an adjustable stabilizer link, whether it's ours or another company's, which we think ours is the best out there. However, this procedure, if you find your measurements are off from side to side, you will need an adjustable stabilizer link to do an alignment and to get these measurements the same. If you have an OEM piece and your measurements are identical left to right with a maximum of an 1/8 inch difference, then you're good to go. Typically anything with an 1/8 plus difference, definitely recommend doing an alignment, switching out that solid OEM stabilizer link for an adjustable one and getting everything square. We see on OEM bikes anywhere from an 1/8 to about 3/8 plus on the heavy side of difference left to right in shock mounting length. Let's get these measured up and see where we got to go. After measuring, we have found that one side is 17 and 11/16, the other side is 17 and 9/16. So that would equal a 1/8 inch difference from left to right, which would warrant the desire to do a proper alignment and align this piece, the entire engine front to back. After that, we will go over some rear axle alignment procedures, although they are very simple. So let's talk about swapping out to an adjustable stabilizer link and doing an alignment. Okay, so if you got to the point where you have different measurements on your rear shock lengths between the swing arm and the upper shock mounts, then that means you need an adjustable stabilizer link and to do a proper alignment on your bike. To do that, you would have to get in here, right on top of the engine, the front cylinder. There's a bracket that attaches to the front of the head, and it attaches to the chassis on the quote-unquote drivers, your left leg side. Normally this would be a solid, pretty ugly piece from the factory. Here we have one of our older polished aluminum units. As you can see, it is adjustable and twists pretty easily, makes the engine go side to side. We know we have a difference in length side to side, so we need to adjust that up. I'm actually going to swap this out for a newer style using my same rod ends because I am still testing these for mileage and wear. So far we have excellent mileage and minimal wear, so loving that. I'm going to pull that off, swap it out, get the new one in, and show you how to do an alignment. Alright, so we've got our new link on according to our install video guide. Check that out if you need a hand getting these on. The only thing you will not see in that is the new hex design on our stabilizer links. We are now going to take measurements and get our adjustments done to have equal measurements from here to here, left to right, Our stock shock mounting locations left to right, we want equal, and that will mean that our engine is level and aligned this way. So now we have it aligned. We are going to lock in our jam nuts on our stabilizer link and put this back together, and then we could do an axle alignment for our wheels if applicable. Alright guys, so your final bit of an alignment is going to be on your rear axle. Right now, if you have an OEM axle and swing arm and all that, it's going to be pretty simple on a touring bike, because these use a cam style of adjustment. So really the axle, and because there's a keyway, I'll try to show you, that's that flat spot right there. Because the axle uses that on a keyed way, it can really only move front to back, right? Now, if you had different style adjusters on there that can be adjusted left to right, or say like a Dyna or other bikes like that, even older bikes, you will have to align the rear axle. Typically that's done by getting it as even as you can by eye. You would spin your wheel and check your belt or chain run out and make sure that it's running true and straight and that it's not rubbing on the bottom when it's coming into the pulley or chain wheel, as same going off. You want to make sure it's even. Now you don't necessarily even have to remove your rear tire at all, so you shouldn't have to take it out and have to reset everything. It should be pretty simple, and if you're not taking your wheel and tire off, you probably aren't changing the alignment on it at all. But it is a good thing to check to make sure everything's running true, so you're not chewing up belts or chains or tires or causing a different poor handling characteristic or something that could be affecting your handling. So that's the basic overview on how to do an alignment and check your alignment on a Harley, specifically touring models or any model that has some type of stabilizer link in a rubber mounted chassis. I hope this really helps out. I'm probably going to continue to make more videos on items like this, on really important items that have to do with suspension and alignment and handling characteristics, and try to help you guys save some money and time in the long run. It's not always about putting on more parts and just replacing something to get rid of a poor handling characteristic. Sometimes it's a little more than that. Just like a car, truck, bikes are no different. I hope this helps you guys out. I hope that this spreads and this information gets out there to everyone, and that we can make some improvements on bikes and you guys start enjoying your bikes more than you already do. Thank you. Have a good one. Like and subscribe.
I'm so in love with you. You got me down again.